Until you get burned, playing with fire can seem fascinating. The same is true of the economy. It can incredibly alluring to stare into the depths of death until something happens to push you over the edge. While we have been racking up debt for years on end, recent events have flipped the globe on its head and prepared the ground for an economic collapse of catastrophic proportion. The worst supply chain crisis in recent history is simply stoking the flames as inflation is rampantly racing out of control over the world. More interruptions appear every day. More price increases are announced, and the world's population continues to fight to survive. The great majority of people struggle month to month to make ends meet. Researchers also noted that 63% of adult Americans don't see themselves attaining a level of financial security that will allow them to live the lifestyle they want. In the United States, an alarmingly high number of Americans out of 10 are currently living paycheck to paycheck. Rising credit card debt, mentioned by 58 of the respondents, deteriorating credit scores with 54%, and costly housing, mentioned by 51% of the survey, were among their top financial worries. More than 2/3 of Americans are struggling to make ends meet, even though politicians and policymakers have flooded the system with printed money over the past 2 years. Even in the world's largest economic superpower, the majority of the population does not have a financial safety net to fall back on. When we look at the big picture, it's easy to see that another huge catastrophe of some kind won't be far behind, further destabilizing the situation. There is a chance that the current global supply chain problem will turn into a global supply chain collapse, which would ultimately impact everyone on the planet. The issues have been building for a while. There will be more turmoil. According to one CEO in the sector, the chief executive of the biggest container shipping company in the world claims that the problems with the supply chain that have been slowing down the world economy and causing inflation are not going away. Maersk has a front row seat to the industry, and Ceresco's CEO is one of the finest qualified individuals to assess the current situation. He gets to explore this universe every single day, so when he speaks, markets around the world pay attention. According to Ceresco, there are no signs that things are getting better. The demand for goods continues to be robust, but he noted that global trade is hampered by the shipping capacity that's available. We still have this long wait. And that, I wish I could say that things are getting better, but right now, there's nothing in the figures to suggest so. In the US, and particularly in Los Angeles, things are moving very slowly, he continued. His statement is quite significant because of how dependent we are on the network that enables global trade, although many of us may not be aware of it yet. This indicates that the economic problems we have been experiencing won't soon be resolved. Global supply networks will continue to break down, which will make our lives much more stressful. Currently, rapid price rises are being brought on by supply and demand mismatches, but income growth is not keeping pace. We have an excessive amount of money chasing an excessive amount of products and services, and avaricious businesses are taking advantage of the situation to raise prices as much as they can while blaming inflation. Consumer good prices are rising at an alarming rate, and since the year began, a major food store has announced a fresh round of price increases every week. This week was the appropriate time for Meals and Dice to announce yet another price increase. The stock of Tyson Foods, the second largest processor and marketer of chicken, beef, and pork in the world after Brazil's jobs, has soared by 9%, reaching an all-time high and being one of the S&P's best-performing firms this morning as the company's profit margins increase. The increase happened after the corporation announced astronomical earnings and passed on rising food prices to customers. It recently announced that due to tough labor markets and fewer livestock herds, it would be boosting prices even further. Beef prices increased by 32% during the quarter, while chicken prices increased by 20% and hog prices increased by 13%. Even fast food chains, which generally offer their goods at lower costs, are subtly passing on large price increases. The National Federation of Independent Businesses, a group of small business owners located in Tennessee, claims that the proportion of small business owners nationwide who are hiking prices at the moment is the greatest it has been in over 50 years. According to the organization, small company owners increased their average selling prices by 61% in the previous month. According to the report, price increases occurred most frequently in the wholesale sector, where they were roughly 88% greater than in manufacturing, retail, or construction. Manufacturing came in second with a 71% increase. The number of homeless individuals in the San Francisco area is increasing so quickly that many homeowners are being pushed to give up their extra rooms in order to combat the issue. Although little to no compensation is offered, local agencies are urging local residents who are tired of seeing the homeless problem on their doorsteps to take action by housing the unhoused in their own homes and spare rooms. A fantastic illustration of how our politicians delegate the task of finding answers to the issues they cause to the populace is someone you don't know living in your home, which adds to the risk aspect of housing. Even if individually aiding these individuals can demonstrate compassion and selflessness, it will not address the structural issue that keeps the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. These so-called leaders encourage consumerism to give us a false sense of normalcy, while diverting our attention from the real causes of these problems. Financial and economic analyst Charles Hugh Smith made a number of extremely intriguing points, one of which was that those in positions of authority want us to spend more and more so they can continue controlling us all. Smith wrote in his most recent article that there are many dynamics at play in this decay, but one that no one seems to notice is the shift from a society that once derived its identity from producing quality goods and services to a society that derives its identity from consuming crappified goods and services. He goes on to say that Americans are now enslaved to consumption because they identify themselves via it. As one's attention and time are precious commodities, he adds, limiting consumption means to vanish, and using social media is a type of consumption, even if no products or services are bought directly. In other words, Americans have been conditioned to consume like Pavlov's dogs, regardless of the product's subpar quality or subpar service, then to moan about it afterward. However, we won't be the only ones to take steps that would force businesses and the government to stop utilizing the goods and services. Opt out, manufacture it yourself, end the service, and simply stop purchasing poorly constructed goods, and pitifully subpar services. Because businesses and the government have monopolies, they don't have to worry whether their customers are disgusted by bad quality and service, because they know they must accept whatever is presented, regardless of how skilled the order may be. They continue to offer useless guarantees on goods that are made to break down, be unfixable, and have regularly declared obsolete software, ensuring that the cycle of consuming never ends. Most of us aren't even aware that we're still contributing to the wealth of the wealthy, while barely managing to cover basic needs. Everything in the system keeps encouraging us to consume more, and the more we consume, the more debt we accumulate. The more debt we accumulate, the better it is for them because they know they have permanently imprisoned us in this system. The summit of the pyramid represents the only victors in this bizarre game. They drain us of everything we have, laugh all the way to the bank, and then go. Most of us are just going to keep consuming until the entire system ultimately crashes all around us, which won't take long given that the U.S. economy has already begun to crumble. Most of the world's population is still numb and waiting for things to return to normal. But patterns indicate that our situation will only worsen in 2022. So we should wake up and take action before it's too late. Thank you for watching. This is 360 Economist. Don't forget to leave this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more interesting content.